It was a night like any other, the kind where the world outside seemed to hold its breath. The air was still, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and distant pine. A blanket of stars, countless and indifferent, stretched across the vast, inky canvas above. The only sounds were the gentle rustle of leaves in a barely there breeze and the occasional chirp of a cricket. I was out on my porch, enjoying the solitude, lost in the quiet contemplation that only deep night can bring. Then it happened. A flicker, almost imperceptible at first, caught my eye. Not a shooting star, not a satellite, but something else entirely. It was a pinpoint of light, a pale cyan against the black, appearing from nowhere. My initial thought was a plane, perhaps a distant helicopter, but there was no sound. None at all. Just that solitary, growing luminescence, defying the natural order of the night sky. It wasn't moving in a straight line, nor was it following any predictable arc. It drifted, then paused, then darted with an impossible agility that sent a shiver down my spine. My heart began to quicken its pace. The light grew brighter, expanding slightly, revealing a distinct, non-spherical shape. It was hard to discern details, but it wasn't round, more like an elongated, smooth form, glowing from within. A strange, almost hypnotic fascination took hold. I couldn't look away. The world around me faded, and all that existed was that silent, impossible object hanging in the midnight air. It began to descend, slowly at first, then with a deliberate, controlled motion. It wasn't falling, it was being guided, with an intelligence that was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. As it drew closer, the pale cyan light intensified, casting an eerie, ethereal glow on the distant treetops. The shadows deepened, creating a stark contrast that made the scene feel utterly surreal. I could feel a subtle hum, a low vibration that seemed to resonate not through the air, but directly within my chest. It was a soundless sound, a pressure that spoke of immense power. The object paused, hovering directly above the tree line, perhaps a mile or so away. It was larger than I had initially thought, easily the size of a small house, yet it made no disturbance in the air. Its surface, if it had one, seemed to shimmer, almost like heat haze, but it was cold, a chilling presence that permeated the night. No windows, no seams, just a seamless, glowing form. Then, from its underside, a beam of pure white light, impossibly bright, shot down towards the ground. It was narrow, focused, and seemed to absorb the darkness rather than merely illuminate it. The beam scanned the ground below, moving slowly, deliberately, as if searching for something. The trees it touched seemed to momentarily vanish in the overwhelming brilliance, only to reappear as the beam passed. My breath hitched in my throat. This was no natural phenomenon, no secret military craft. This was something utterly alien, something beyond human comprehension. A primal fear began to creep in, a cold dread that tightened its grip around my chest. Should I run, hide, or simply stand there, a silent witness to the impossible? The beam retracted, pulling back into the object as swiftly as it had appeared. The pale cyan glow of the craft seemed to pulse once, a subtle throb that echoed the beat of my own heart. Then, without a sound, without a tremor, the object began to ascend. It moved straight up, gaining altitude with an incredible, effortless speed that defied gravity. It shrank, becoming a smaller and smaller point of light against the vastness of the cosmos. My eyes strained, trying to hold on to the last vestiges of its impossible presence. And then, in a blink, it was gone, vanished. One moment there, a beacon of the unknown. The next, nothing but the familiar, indifferent stars. The silence that followed was profound, almost deafening. The air felt heavier, charged with an unspoken energy. The quiet night had returned, but it was no longer the same. It was now a canvas for a memory, a secret held only by me. I stood there for a long time, my mind racing, trying to process what my eyes had just witnessed. Was it a dream? A trick of the light? But the vividness, the sheer impossibility of it, argued otherwise. The hum, the pressure in my chest, slowly faded, leaving behind a hollow ache. A sense of profound insignificance, coupled with an exhilarating terror, washed over me. Who would believe me? How could I explain something so utterly beyond the realm of everyday experience? The rational mind would dismiss it, categorize it as delusion or misidentification. But I knew what I saw. It was real, a silent, glowing enigma that had pierced the veil of our understanding, if only for a few fleeting minutes. The memory of that pale cyan glow, the impossible movements, the silent power, would forever be etched into my mind. A secret burden, a profound revelation. The night had offered a glimpse into something vast and unknown, a universe far more complex and mysterious than we dare to imagine, and I was just a tiny witness. Sleep would not come easily that night. Every shadow seemed to hold a secret, every distant sound a potential return. The world had shifted on its axis, subtly, irrevocably. The quiet night, once a source of comfort, now held a new, unsettling depth. It was no longer just darkness. It was a canvas for the unimaginable. And as the first hint of dawn began to paint the eastern sky, I knew one thing for certain. I would never look at the stars the same way again. The midnight sky held secrets, and I had seen one.